Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. I'm wanting to share today a quick Z-fold card. It's a nice, simple, fun fold, probably the easiest one, at least in my opinion, that you can make, and it gives a simple wow without a lot of effort. I created one a couple years ago. I'll link to that post in my blog, from my blog, using what was at the time Celebration products. So I think it was, I can't remember the exact name, a hippo set. Super, super cute, but I'm wanting to share kind of a tweaked version using the Silly Old Bear suite of products. And so I'm going to go ahead and flip my camera and we will get at it here. So I've got, this is an idea of something we might do, but it's these products. I have combined in my packaging both the sweet words and labels, both the stamp set with the dies, as well as the Sweet Old Friends, the stamp set and the dies. I'm not using the dies for the Sweet Old Friends, though you could. I am going to use both from the Sweet Old Words. Sweet words and labels. I am in love with the die set because I think the labels are just so useful. I will put a disclaimer out there that these products are only available to people in the United States. There are some copyright reasons as to why Stampin' Up! Did not release them globally. And so I apologize for anyone watching this from out of country. But if you are in the United States, these products are still available. And I am using the coordinating Silly Old Bear Designer Series paper as well. And so super fun stuff. I'm going to go ahead and grab my stamps. I do need the stamps from Sweet Old Friends. And so I'm going to grab those. I will show you the dies. I keep my dies on magnetic sheets. They do not come that way from Stampin' Up. But I've got my stamps. All of them are photopolymer. And then these are the coordinating dies if we were going to be using them. As I said, I am not choosing to today because I want to make a fairly quick card. Last week's live was a little long, showcasing the new hot foil system. And so I just Stampin' hot foil. I want to go ahead and just kind of jump right at it. What I'm going to be using, and I've already die cut things, so let's pull it over here. So I've got a half a sheet of Mossy Meadow. We changed colors. Been a demonstrator now 24 years, almost, well, 24 and a half. And so a lot of colors have come and gone. Mossy Meadow. And it's cut the long way is how I'd word it, 4 1/4 by 11, and then we need to score it. And so I'm going to do that here in a moment. I also want a couple pieces of, as I said, Designer Series papers, and I'm using these particular pieces from that Silly Old Bear Designer Series paper. This one, you can use coordinating dies and cut out the images on the back. I've already used this stripe for some other things, so I'm choosing it. This is, you know what, let's just get the ruler out because I didn't make notes yet. It is 2 1/2 by, I believe, 4, and this should be 5 1/4 by 4. And then I have a couple pieces of very vanilla cardstock that I had cut this particular die here from. And I did 2 of them because I want one for my inside. And so it's simple stuff. Let me show you. Oh, and then I did cut a couple things here using, because there's these cute little acorn dies, a large and a small and large, that you can cut. And so I did that. I did with a piece of, this seems a little bit, I'm going to try to zoom in a little. Let's see if we can get a little closer or not. I don't know. Here we go. See if you can catch them a little better here. With Early Espresso, and then this is some Cajun Craze, which is in some of this particular paper. And I've already cut those out. So I am going to note that if you don't currently have a demonstrator, I'd love to be yours, and that you can order products that are featured in my video. Let's see if I can zoom back out. We may be stuck where we are. Well, I guess there's worse things. You can order anytime on my website, justalittleink.stampinup.net. So let's grab my trimmer. I don't need to cut anything, so I'm going to make sure to keep this piece out of the way. And I'm going to put it into my trimmer. And I'm going to cover up some things here and see if we can focus in a little better. I'm going to score at 5.5, which is halfway. And so I'm going to use the lighter, let me get myself out of the way here. This is common for all Z folds. You could do them both directions. We're choosing this way. And then I like to flip mine over, and then I'm going to score it at 2 3/4. So 5.5, and then again at 2 3/4 on the other side. So depending on 2 3/4, 5.5. And so then I can put this out of the way. Let's get this in the view of the camera again. And I'll show you how fast this goes. So simple Z fold, I'm going to fold it in half along that 5.5 inch fold. Grab out my bone folder, and it's raining like cats and dogs here in Arizona. It's the middle of monsoon season, which is great. We have needed the rain. It'd be good if much of the country could get some gentle rain. So then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and attach my designer series papers. So I'm going to put this piece in. If I wanted a very subtle, and it doesn't really coordinate, I could turn it over on the other side. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Seal. You could use our liquid glue. That would work as well. I'm just going to grab just a dot in a few places, maybe right in the center. And then I'm going to figure out how I choose to do this normally is I'm going to figure out my even. I want an even reveal, right to left or top and bottom, and then right to left. And so I'm going to figure it out here. And then make sure that it stays all the way down. And then before I push everything, I want to make sure it looks the same at the top, and it does. So that's this side, and then I'm going to put some here. You could, if you wanted something else, you could put a third panel here. I don't normally do that, but you could. And so simple, simple stuff here. I loved the stripes of the mossy meadow on the front panel. Kind of just something quite simple. And have a couple different variations of some ideas for you after we're done. So then I told you I've got these two pieces. I'm going to set the inside one aside, and we're going to stamp on this one. And so I'm going to grab from, and you can tell, if you're using our brand new hybrid ink, it will stain your stamps, but it does not affect how they stamp. So I'm going to open up here. I'm going to grab out Piglet and Pooh Bear here. I'm going to grab a block. If I can grab one without, and I'm going to grab my Pierce mat. I have one I've cut in half. It just works size-wise better for me. And so I'm going to grab this. It does look a little grungy, but we're going to use it. And then I'm going to stamp with Early Espresso ink. I find there's a number of ink colors that you can use our Stampin' Blends with, which is what I'm going to choose to do. And so I am I'm going to get a little closer to me first, and then I'll move it up. Okay, I want it stuck about here. I really like how the pose of Pooh Bear and Piglet are in this particular image. And I'll stuff that out of the way, and then I'm going to grab a greeting from the Sweet Words and Labels, and I'm going to stamp that in Mossy Meadow. Looks like I have a piece of Post-it note or tape on myself. All right, and then I really liked, especially for this particular image, there is a greeting, and it says, "The best kind of days are the days spent together." And I think there could be all kinds of reasons why you would send a card that says that. And so I'm going to grab my stamp here and make sure I am straight. And we're going to just stamp it right next to Pooh Bear and Piglet, like so. And then I will clean those after a while. So then it's a matter of coloring, because, you know, this would be cute and all, but I think he needs colored. And so I'm going to use a variation of Stampin' Blends. For Piglet, I'm going to use our brand new Barely Blush, and all of our Stampin' Blends come in a set of 2, a dark and a light. And so I'm going to start with the dark, and I'm just going to grab a little bit along the lines that the artist has already told us for shading. And you don't notice a whole lot with Barely Blush because it's a fairly light color, but Piglet works really well in Barely Blush. And so then I'm going to color this little body here. And then because I am using Mossy Meadow, I'm going to use Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to use the light. And I'm probably not going to choose to go any darker. I'm going to just color in his little shirt. Like so. And then I want to color Pooh Bear, and Pooh Bear, we're just catching him, and so I'm using Golden Glow. Golden Glow is another one of our brand new in colors, and so I'm going to start with the dark, and I'm going to come along again those areas that the artist already told us shaded Pooh Bear's body. And then I might grab just a little beyond that, but I'm going to grab along here. I don't consider myself an artist when it comes to coloring, but the Stampin' Blends make me feel like I am. And so then I will use the light to blend that out. So I'll just come back over and blend it across. You could choose to probably only use one of the colors and be just as happy. Depends what your end goal is. And again, you could certainly blend a whole lot more than I am. I'm going to come across here. I love how Stampin' Blends give just a really professional look when you're done with your colors. What would you send this card for? I'd like to know that. If you choose to make it later, I'd love to see that as well. You can easily comment with a photo of your card, and I would love that. So simple, simple, nothing too fancy here. That finishes what coloring I was planning on. Now how I'm going to attach, I'm going to sit it on the front of this, what we refer to as a Z fold, because it kind of makes a Z. I'm going to figure out about where my split is here. I'm going to hold my hand here just so I know. I'm going to put adhesive here. I know I don't need to go beyond that. And you could choose to use tear and tape. That certainly is an option that would hold really well. I just am going to use some of our liquid glue on this end, and I'm going to be fairly quick. And again, making sure I've kept it within the confines of, and make sure I'm straight. That's probably the bigger part. Okay, we're good here. I'm going to press just to get it to seat the adhesive. I'm going to show through just a little here, but I think that part's fine. I'm not choosing to put anything in the inside yet, but I have a tip. And my tip for adhering this so that when I open, it doesn't have it showing. So I don't want it to come out over here or even have a little bit of an edge. My tip is to open it up, turn this upside down. There is an obvious section where the stitching on these dies is. So I'm going to line it up. And then I'm going to grab that multi-purpose liquid glue again, and I'm going to have just a light edge of it around. Okay, and a little in the center. Put my lid back on. Make sure that I've got it straight. And then all I'm going to do is fold my card. And when I do that, if I didn't wiggle, it's going to line up exactly on top of the one on top. And so that it hides it really, really well. And so then I told you I had cut these little acorns. They are so stinking cute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my acorns, and I already did the early espresso with some of our adhesive sheets before I cut them out from the die cutting. So I'm going to release that because then it makes it real easy to attach it to my acorns. Okay, I need to do one more. Like so. Okay, and let's see here. I can put just a dot of glue on them. Do you think I could put them here, which I think is kind of cute? But in some respects, I kind of like the idea of doing it inside. And so I may choose to put them inside this card. So let me grab just a dot or so of glue on the back sides of my acorns. The top portions already have adhesive. And let's see, I think I would like to put them over here. So I'm going to attach one there, and then I want this one kind of falling down on the other side, just like so. So what do you think? I think that makes a really cute, simple card. Now you could always add gems. I know these happen to be on back order right now, or should we say not orderable. These are our 2026, 2028 in color dots. And I do think that a couple of the golden glow dots would be really cute on the front. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to come over here, and I think, might put one here and stick one up above here. And then I think I might stick one, because I like threes. If you know me, you know I like threes. I'm not sure I want it on the front. I think I might. Where do you think? Maybe over here? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got it right in the middle. Let's do one here. I don't know. I kind of like that. I hope you do as well. So let me share with you the card I had done ahead of time. and using Pooh Bear with his jar of honey, and then the bees kind of floating up above. And the acorns I stuck on this one on the front. Use the same paper and the same die cut shape. And then when you open it up again, and then I was thinking, I didn't create a card. You kind of saw it when I started, if you were on when I started. But wouldn't this be cute? I took one of those pre-done little scenes and used the coordinating die from the Sweet Words and Labels. And then I used another label and used the greeting from Sweet Words and Labels. It never hurts to look up because they're looking up at the top of the tree. If you can see that real well. I'm hoping you can see that pretty well. There we go. But wouldn't that be cute if you put that on the front of a card? And so I think I may play around and do one more. And if you look on my blog, justalittleink.com, then you can see the other option that I might come up with, and we'll kind of see what I think about that. But all things together, I am just so glad that you've stopped. I hope that you've enjoyed the little stop of creativity for your day. Enjoy your weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Happy stamping!